a little bit of repetitious, but today, what have each of you been paid and what do you anticipate being paid further? It comes to mind, Ms. Campbell, you mentioned it's a cost-plus contracting. So to date and anticipated future payments, what are they, please?
So to date, $112 million, and for the year, I believe $196 million for this phase of our contract.
And then going forward, do you have any concept?
The total TCV, the total contract value, with option years and everything exercised would be $293 million.
The $196 million is total. It includes the 112. It is not in addition to the 112?
It would be it's part of the 112.
Includes the 112.
Yes.
Yes, sir, Mr. Slavitt.
The data services contract has been funded to about just under $85 million. That includes all the hardware and the software.
And then how much you anticipate going forward?
I don't believe that amount has been fully paid. I think that's what's been funded. I would point out that we have contracts for work we do.
I just got just a minute, man. I'm sorry. Ms. Spells. Okay.
To date, we've received less than $2 million, and what we would be paid in the future depends on the transactions that we receive from the hub.
The first-year contract with modifications is $200 million. To date, we've probably received about $30 million.
Okay. Next, Ms. Campbell, in your previous testimony here today, you said you're not responsible for the front door. Here is your testimony from September the 10th. You said your scope of activity was architecting and developing an FFM, and then later, just immediately afterwards, you said the FFM will serve as the front door. I'm not quite sure why today it's not a front door, but on the 10th it was.
I know. It's a matter of interpretation. That when we first we're trying to give a way to explain what our role would be. It's really the face of the applications. I said it's the front of the house, but the front door of the house is where EIDM would take over.
And that's Mr. Slavitt.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, also in your previous testimony, I asked you, Spanish was going to be part of the rollout for the implementation. I asked if it's ready, and would it be a seamless experience for a primary Spanish speaker? You said for the online application, yes. There's reports today that the Spanish language websites are not up, and it's unclear as when they will come up. Is that because the websites are not ready, or because the administration has chosen not to take them online?
CMS directs which components go live and when.
So is the Spanish language website ready? And if it were up, would it be functional?
It would be.
Okay, so it's the CMS decision not to begin it.
That's correct.
Mr. Slavitt, I gather you're the front door now. Would it be, Mr. Shimkus asked, why is someone who's 49 years old being quoted a rate for someone who's 27? And why is someone who's 64 being quoted a rate for someone who's 50? Clearly misleading. So incredibly misleading. I'm a doctor, so I understand the difference in healthcare costs for the two. Would it be technologically difficult to ask users their date of birth to generate a more accurate estimate?
So I'm not sure that I even understand the phrase front door in this context.
But just
the user questions are not part of the EIDM tool.
So if you put in the DOB, the date of birth, is that technologically difficult to link that date of birth with actually what it would cost for a 50-year-old gentleman as opposed to giving him the rates for a 27-year-old person?
That aspect of the site is not part of the EIDM tool, so I wouldn't know the answer.
Is it part of your site, Ms. Campbell?
It is. It's part of my site.
And would it be technologically difficult to actually more accurately give what a quote would be?
It would be. It would not be difficult to add date of birth.
And then to connect that with an actual rate as opposed to a disingenuous rate.
So it would give a better accounting. It would not give a complete accounting.
But a much better accounting. A big difference between 50 years old and 27.
I totally agree with you.
Okay. Now, everybody on this panel, at least the ones that were here on the 10th, just swore that this was all going to be ready. And yet now it appears that the administration had some idea that it was not going to be ready prior to its opening date. Let me ask. When the problems became apparent, did the administration impose any pressure in any form for you not to be forthcoming regarding the magnitude of the problems?
No.
No.
So even though you had pointed out to them, Mr. Slavitt, that this might not be ready for prime time, and you just saw this kind of train wreck happening on the 1st, they never pushed back on you regarding that?
We shared all of the results of the testing that we did, so they were fully aware of those tests.
I yield back. Thank you.